Yo, what's going on everyone? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another YouTube video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the updated Tomorrow's Answer and how I think that this is probably now the best Void rocket in the game. So it's no secret that Void is the element that has been the most neglected when it comes to like the rockets. We did get a pretty good one last season with Fate Keeper, but since it was a precision frame, it did do just overall less damage than some of the other meta rockets, as well as missing some of the other good rocket perks. But this season we got a new upgrade to those Void rockets with the Tomorrow Sensor that probably will make this weapon one of the best rockets in the game. So in today's video we're going to be going over what are the best perks that this weapon can get and the ones that you should be looking for if you're looking for a god roll this weapon. So let's not waste any more time, let's get into it. But first we gotta talk about where to actually get this weapon. And that is the part that some of you guys are definitely not gonna like, because this is a trials weapon. Now you'll be able to unlock this weapon when you reach rank 16 with Saint, or also I think that it can drop at the end of trials matches, and you can also unlock it that way, I think. I'm not super sure on that one anymore. And after you unlock it, you'll be able to focus it at Saint for 1 engram. And this right here is pretty much like the biggest downside of this weapon, that is tied to trials, and not only tied to trials, to basically completing like a full rank of trials. So that's definitely gonna cause some people to stay away from it. But if you want to go after this weapon and you don't play Crucible a lot, I would just recommend to wait for the double rep weekends. Those happen every couple of weeks, and those are just gonna be the best times to actually get into trials, get some more rep for those wins, and actually get this thing done faster without really having to play as many trials matches. Now Tomorrow Sensor is a high impact frame rocket launcher that comes with 3 different origin traits: Alacrity, One Quiet Moment, and also Wildcard. None of them are really going to be that special or are really going to help us that much. What's really special about this weapon is just the new perks that it can roll, including some of the best ones that were added with this season, or episode I should say. So let's get into that. Let's actually take a look at the perks that we can get on this, and we're going to be taking a look at every single perk for the both columns. So let's get started. So these are going to be the options that we're going to have for the first straight perk. First of all, we have one of the new ones, which is Withering Gaze. Aiming this weapon for a short period of time without firing will grant the ability to weaken the next target. So this is going to be a way to apply a debuff with the rocket itself, which is definitely very interesting. Now, is it actually going to be useful? I don't really think it's going to be that useful. The rockets are usually the things that are going to be doing the damage, and you usually have something that's already weakening or applying the debuff. That I don't think Withering Gaze is going to be something that you really need on a rocket. It's going to be nice on maybe some other weapons, but not on a rocket. After that, we're going to have Air Trigger, and I know you guys won't believe it, but Air Trigger is actually kind of decent on special and heavy weapons, since it both increases our reserves, and it also gives us some reload speed. The reload speed is not free, you do have to jump up in the air to get the reload speed, but just doing a little hop counts as being in the air, so you can use jump, take advantage of the reload speed, jump, take advantage of the reload speed. Will you look a little weird doing that during DPS phase? Yeah, but you definitely are going to be getting tons of reload speed and also extra ammo. So I would say that this one's pretty decent. Now moving on to the next perk is going to be Danger Zone. Whenever we're surrounded, we take reduced damage from the rocket, as well as have increased blast radius. This one's going to be more of a fun perk if you want to use kind of run into the middle of enemies, fire at the ground, and then be shot off into the moon. Then this is basically the perk that you want to go for, but this one's really just for fun. Next up, we're going to have Envious Assassin, and this is going to overflow your magazine based on the number of kills with your other 2 weapons. Now this is going to be pretty good. It does like front load your damage. You can fire a couple of times without having to reload. So it's really good in like short burst windows, and also against champions. You can pretty much kill any champion with like 3 rockets. So for something like GMs, this is going to be fantastic, and it's still pretty decent in like DPS phases. Next up, we're going to have Impulse Amplifier. This is going to increase our projectile speed and also our reload speed. It pretty much matches both of them out, and this one's pretty good. We can just get more rockets out there thanks to our increased reload speed, and also the increased velocity means that you're more likely to actually hit your target. So overall, this is a pretty decent one. Maybe not the best, but definitely pretty decent. Next up, we're gonna have another one of the new weapons, which is Envious Arsenal. Dealing damage with both of our other weapons before readying this weapon will refill it from reserves. Now this is going to be really good, especially with bait and switch, which this weapon can actually get. So if you're going for weapon swaps, then Envious Arsenal bait and switch is just gonna be the way to go. And it only gets better once you enhance Envious Arsenal, because it also gives you increased reserves. So not only are you gonna be constantly reloading your weapon by doing weapon swapping, but you're also gonna carry more ammo. And the last perk that we have in this column is gonna be the tracking module, which is just gonna give a rocket tracking, and that's really it. So for this very first perk, I would say our best choices are gonna be Envious Arsenal, Envious Assassin, and also Air Trigger. I would say those are definitely the best 3 perks that you can get on this weapon, with Envious Arsenal 100% be the best. Now these are going to be the options that we have for the second perk, and let's start once again from the top with Bait and Switch. Whenever we deal damage with auto-equipped weapons, it will increase this weapon's damage for a short period of time, and it's a big 30% damage boost. Bait and Switch pretty much continues to be like the go-to damage perk. That 30% damage increase is just really hard to beat. And the way that it pairs up perfectly with so many other perks makes it really good. This can pretty much go well with all 3 of the perks that we said that would be good in the other slot, but it especially pairs up well with Envious Arsenal, which is going to make this thing one of the best rockets in the game. After that, we're going to have Bipod. This is going to increase our rocket ammo magazine, so we're going to be able to carry 2 rockets, and it's also going to increase our reserves, where we're going to be able to carry many more rockets. But each rocket is going to be doing less damage, with less blast radius, and you're also going to take a hit to your reload speed, so your rocket will reload a little bit slower. Now this, I could definitely see it being kind of useful in things like GMs. Things where you just gotta keep moving and hit multiple targets very quickly. That's where Bipod I think can still have a place, or in an activity that lets you take advantage of all that ammo that you can carry. Usually DPS phases are a bit on the shorter side, so you can go through all your Bipod rockets. So if it's a longer damage phase or an activity like the Grandmasters where you run into multiple, like essentially mini bosses, then that's where Bipod can shine. But I wouldn't really recommend it for every single DPS phase. It's just gonna get outclassed with some of the other perks. Now next up, we're gonna have Chain Reaction. This is gonna give us a little bit better ad clear, but I wouldn't really recommend it for this weapon. I guess you could pair it up with something like Danger Zone to get that increased blast radius, and also get the Chain Reaction explosions, but then might as well use just a grenade launcher. After that, we're gonna have Cluster Bombs. Cluster Bombs are just not really good. They don't really add too much extra damage. They don't really help too much with ad clear. Cluster Bombs are just not very good anymore. Next up, we're gonna have Explosive Light, and this is gonna be good for both doing damage and also for just going around killing champions in stuff like GMs. The damage buff is not as high as something like Bait and Switch, but the requirement is pretty easy to get. All you have to do is just pick up some orbs, and then your rockets are gonna be doing that extra damage. Overall, I definitely think it's weaker than Bait and Switch, but it definitely has a place, and it can be really great in GM specifically. Next up, we're gonna have Frenzy. This is gonna give us a 15% damage increase, as well as give us 100 handling and 100 reload speed. The bad thing about Frenzy is that it takes quite a while to get going, and even once it gets going, it is still just a 15% damage increase, so it won't really be as great as something like Explosive Light or Bait and Switch. Now, another perk that's also a 15% damage increase is gonna be Vorpal Weapon. Now, I actually do prefer Vorpal Weapon to something like Frenzy, because you don't really have to do anything with Vorpal Weapon. It's just a free 15% damage increase that you always do with the weapon. So, if you had to choose between like Vorpal Weapon or Frenzy, I would definitely go Vorpal Weapon. But even then, Vorpal Weapon is still not the greatest perk to go for on this rocket. I would definitely say that you should still go for Explosive Light or Bait and Switch. So the best perks for this second column, I'm sure you guys can already tell, but it's going to be Explosive Light plus Bait and Switch with a couple of situations where Bipod might be good. And now let's talk about some God rolls, and I'm sure you guys are already figuring out the first one we're going to see, but it's going to be Impact Casing, Envious Arsenal, plus Bait and Switch. Not only are you going to be doing tons of damage with Bait and Switch, but you're also going to be reloading your weapons, as well as having increased reserves in this weapon. This perk combination right here was specially engineered by Bungie, so you can do a lot of damage. Now for the second God roll, I would say Air Trigger plus Explosive Light is going to be pretty good, but this is not really going to be for boss damage, but this is going to be for being a champion destroyer type of weapon. You get the extra damage with the Explosive Light, you get the increased reserves from Air Trigger, as well as the increased reload speed. So that's going to be a pretty fantastic setup. That's pretty much going to be able to work in any GM. By use like Bait and Switch, Explosive Light will be able to work with the other perks like Envious, Arsenal or Assassin, and even something like Impulse Amplifier. But I definitely like something like Explosive Light a lot more for killing something like champions than doing boss damage. Now if I just have to say something about the Tomorrow Sensor, is that this is pretty much like the weapon that you want from Trials this season. I know that rockets might not be like the meta right now. Right now we're in a grenade launcher meta with all the grenade launcher mods. But if there's something that always happens in Destiny, is that the rockets always come back as a DPS option. Maybe not right away, but they'll definitely come back. And when they do, you'll definitely want to have this as an option. And even right now that they might not be meta, they're still a pretty solid option. So I definitely would recommend the Tomorrow Sensor. And like I said, if you're not super into trials, just wait for a double rep weekend just to make things a little easier. But anyways, with that, we're gonna end today's video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, dislike if you didn't, subscribe to the channel in case you guys haven't already. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think about this weapon? Do you like it? Do you not? I ended up actually really enjoying my time with this weapon. Sure, I don't have like the ultimate god roll use yet, but I'm gonna be looking for it this weekend. So if you guys want to check that out, or want to get yourself some free trials loot, since you can get trials loot just by watching some people stream trials, then my Twitch will be in the description in case you guys want to check that out. But anyways, thank you all for stopping by, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.